Okay guys, today I've got a double header for you. I got two battles in one video. Reason being is because I did not upload something yesterday, probably for 2 days, honestly. I'm not really keeping track. But I gotta be somewhere, so we're gonna try and get through this as quick as possible. They started with a Rotom Heat, I started with Vivillon. Right away, I do not want to keep that thing in, because I do not want to lose my Vivillon early. But I end up going into my Rotom and we end up exchanging Choice Scarfs. Now, I don't know if I've used this Rotom yet, but this is a purely Choice Scarf attacking Rotom. Max special attack, max speed with a Choice Scarf. I went for the Hydro Pump. I don't know why, honestly, now that I think about it. Because I knew he was going to most likely switch after tricking Choice Scarfs, even though you have the option to choose another attack. But he ends up going into Ferrothorn. Ferrothorn takes my Hydro Pump very nicely. Now, I do not want to stay in on that thing because if it is carrying Power Whip, Rotom will not take that well at all. So Rotom has to get out of there. So I'm going to end up calling it back and go into my Vivillon. Vivillon, if it decides to Leech Seed, is going to be seeded, but I can still bounce back from that with Quiver Dance and forceful attacks. So he ends up seeding me and restores to full health. I'm getting sapped away little by little. Honestly, I was not afraid of that because with Vivillon, I could pretty much clean up easily if anything doesn't backfire on me. For instance, Hurricane missing or Bug Buzz not doing the amount of damage I wanted to do. So I set up a Quiver Dance on his switch, and here I believe I went for the Sleep Powder because I do not want this thing messing me up. If Sleep Powder misses, he's probably going to end up tricking me that Choice Scarf, and that is not going to be good. So I do end up putting it to sleep, and it ends up, of course, it's going to stay asleep first turn. But as you can see, Leech Seed is draining me away. I've already lost about a third of life. So I believe I set up another Quiver Dance, since I know that Hurricane or Bug Buzz will not be enough to damage that Rotom just yet. Hurricane would probably do a little more than Bug Buzz would, but he ends up switching out and going into his Ferrothorn once more. Oh no, I went straight away for the Hurricane. Why the hell did I do that? It doesn't matter. But Hurricane does a decent amount of damage. It's easily a 2-hit knockout. Now here I was predicting his Protect, so I decided to take advantage of that and go for another Quiver Dance, which Protect is what he ends up doing. So I end up getting another boost from Quiver, and now I'm pretty sure I'm set up to take his team out. If not completely take it out, do enough damage so that some Pokemon can revenge kill. Though I am really relying on Vivillon to take on this team. So I hit it with Hurricane, and of course it's not going to take that. The useless crit didn't even matter. So Ferrothorn is gone. He goes into his Rotom. I'm going to go for another Hurricane just to try and take this thing out. If not, give it Confusion. Of course, Hurricane does not do enough damage to kill it off. It's easily a 2-hit knockout, which I was actually hoping would happen. Unfortunately, that is not going to be the case, because Hurricane next turn does not do enough damage to take out the Rotom. It survives with just about a 16th of life. Uses Trick on me. That was actually pretty pointless, because all he ended up doing was speeding my Vivillon up. Of course, I can't use any other attack other than Hurricane. So this match is easily locked up. All I have to do is hit with Hurricane, but Hurricane misses this turn, allowing his Rotom to live and Volt Switch me to death. And the next Pokemon sent out pretty much sealed my fate, because he has a Salamence, and that Salamence will not go down to anything on my team. I have no attacks whatsoever that can take on the Salamence. So it is not looking good for me at all, especially if that thing Mega Evolves. If that thing Mega Evolves, the match is pretty much over on my side. So here I'm debating what Pokemon to switch into, because I really have nothing that that can take on this Salamence. For the first time, I am very ill prepared to actually take on another Pokemon. Vivillon could have done the job. Unfortunately, it was defeated due to a miss. So now I am in pretty much a shithole. Excuse my language. So I go into the Rotom. Even with a Choice Scarf, this thing is not going to really do much to Salamence at all. The only attacks that could really hit it are Thunderbolt and I believe Dark Pulse. I have Dark Pulse and Shadow Ball on this thing. I actually have to get rid of one of those two. I don't know which one to get rid of though. But he ends up Mega Evolving to Mega Salamence. Thunderbolt does a decent amount, but not enough to scare that thing away. And on top of that, he's just rubbing his nuts in my face with Roost. So this match is pretty much locked up for my opponent. There's nothing I can do to take this Salamence out. The only thing I could hope for is paralysis, which unfortunately I am not going to get. So this battle is pretty much locked up for my opponent. But you can't win them all. And just to be an asshole, he decides to keep roosting on me. Which I was hoping the opportunity of Parahacks would come. Unfortunately, it never does, and now he's going to start slicing me up with Double Edge. Rotom does not take that attack at all and ends up going down, and the only Pokemon I have left is Chandelure, which unfortunately is not going to get the job done because Salamence already outspeeds me to the point where Chandelure is pretty much useless. And because I had a Focus Sash on Vivillon, there's no way that Chandelure is going to take the attack. So my opponent ends up taking this battle just by 1 Hacks. But that's okay. Things happen. So let's move on to the next match here. I'm going to start with a Snorlax, and they're going to start with an Altaria. Now, straight away, I'm just going to go for the safe Heavy Slam, since it's a super effective attack, and most likely that thing's going to Mega Evolve. You don't even see Altaria without its Mega Evolution anymore. So he does evolve into the Mega Altaria, and he's going to actually set up the substitute, which is easily going to be broken by my Heavy Slam. Honestly, Heavy Slam would have just been enough to take that thing out. Possibly not with Cotton Guard, but it still would have done a pretty decent amount of damage. But now I'm predicting the switch here, and I'm just going to go for the Body Slam. He does end up switching the Altaria out, not wanting to take that Heavy Slam, and he ends up going into a Gyarados. Gyarados takes my Body Slam pretty well thanks to the Intimidate factor. Does about, I'd say, a sixth of life, sixth of damage, excuse me. So I'm just going to go straight away for another one since I know Snorlax can take an attack. I was mostly predicting Dragon Dance here, but he ends up Aqua Tailing me. And Snorlax does not take that too well. So maybe that thing might be Choice Banded. But I'm getting Snorlax out of there, and I'm going to go straight into my Rotom Wash. Rotom Wash does not take that attack well either. So I know my opponent's going to switch because he does not want to stay in on a Thunderbolt. I was thinking Dusclops was coming in, so I went for Shadow Ball. I didn't go for the Dark Pulse because he still had Mega Altaria on the side, but I'm pretty sure Ghost doesn't affect Fairy that much either. I'm not too knowledgeable on the Fairy types, but he ends up switching into Excadrill. So if I had gone for Hydro Pump, I could have done some decent damage to that thing. But I switch it out, and I go into my Snorlax for Death Fodder. He ends up going for Earthquake, so Snorlax is now gone. I'm going to go back into my Rotom Wash because I know a Hydro Pump, if it doesn't miss, should be enough to take out that Excadrill. So here I go for the Hydro Pump. Unfortunately, that thing has a Choice Scarf and hits me with Earthquake. Because of Mold Breaker, Levitate is not going to work. So it is looking grim on my side. Vivillon is at this point my only chance of winning this match. The Focus Sash will help me up to a certain extent, but I am not relying on it to win right now. It's just looking really grim. He ends up going into Gyarados to take my Sleep Powder. It was fine by me because it gives me the opportunity to set up a Quiver Dance. Because Quiver Dance at this point is the only way that I'm going to win this match. Now, most likely he's not going to stay in. He's going to switch right back out and go into Excadrill. Now, Excadrill, of course, his move was reset. Now, of course, we're seeing Rock Slide most likely coming, but I can take the Rock Slide thanks to my Focus Sash. So I believe this turn I go for the Hurricane because I did not want to take any chances at all with setting up any more Quiver Dances and boosting my stats. Because if I make the wrong move, it is pretty much game over for me again. So, we're just actually you're waiting on me here because I was doing a damage calculation deciding on whether or not to go for the Hurricane or to hit it with a Bug Buzz. In the end, I decided to go with the Hurricane since it has a higher damage rate. I was trying to do a damage calculation, but with only 60 seconds to actually make a move, you don't really have too much time to debate on it. But I end up choosing Hurricane, goes for Rock Slide. Luckily, my Vivillon ends up avoiding the attack. So now I go for the Bug Buzz to make sure I do not have the same incident that I had last battle. So I end up taking the Excadrill out. That was the only thing I was really afraid of. That Gyarados is asleep, and the Mega Altaria I guarantee will go down from a Hurricane after another Quiver Dance. I know I was safe to set up the second one because this Gyarados did not go through any phases of sleep before it was withdrawn. So his first turn of sleep goes by, and now I'm just going to go straight away for the Hurricane, manages to land it, and takes out the Gyarados. So all that's left now is that Altaria. All I have to hope is that my Hurricane manages to land on that Altaria, and I can take this match. So I could have probably went for Bug Buzz, but I don't think it's effective on Fairy types. But I hit it with Hurricane, and it manages to take out the Altaria for a game. So I hope you guys enjoyed these battles, and I'll see you next time for my next random Wi-Fi battles.